Today's episode of Dating Disasters features Ty, a man whose date was harder to get rid of than weeds in a garden. By their second date, she already had a 5-year plan.
Hi, I'm Ty Ward. My scary date started 2 days after I had met someone while on the way to a party, or it was a club actually. It was a new club that had opened up, and I wanted to be there. Everybody was talking about it, and I met two young ladies that were in the neighborhood. And as I was getting into my car, one of them was very friendly, very complimentary, very inquisitive about me, where I was going, uh, who I was going to meet up with. And of course, I was very, general and very funny. And the young lady was, by the way, extremely attractive, well engaged. There's something about her aura that was interesting to me at the time. Anyway, I went to the club, turned my phone off, of course, because I'm not going to hear anything anyway. So by the time I had gotten home, there were 18 messages on my phone, and 15 of them were from the young lady that I had just met. And she kept calling, and the odd thing is, all of her messages were the same. Hey, I hope you're having a good time. Not too good a time, and I can't wait to talk to you again. Okay, and the next, all the other messages were exactly the same. It was kind of eerie to hear that over and over again. But anyway, when I got home, before I got home, rather, she had called again, and she was asking all these questions about the club, and did I have a great time? I did, and the club was fantastic. So she asked me, why don't I ask her out for a date? I said, okay. First of all, I love assertive women. I'm kind of shy. So if I find someone that has interest in me, I'm kind of like, okay, this will work. And she was very, very interested in being a man and all. And don't judge me. But seriously, though, 2 days later, that's when we had the date. The scary date, which led to scary encounters down the line. But anyway, I said, where can I pick you up? Oh, she never gave me her phone number, by the way. She said it was a private number, and it was like 4 or 5 women in the house that share the same phone number, and they didn't want to give that number out. I understood. We're talking about a date here. There's not an issue with that at all. Anyway, I said, where can I pick you up? And she gave me the address of her friend's house, the one that was walking with her that night that we met 2 nights ago. I said, okay, I'll pick you up there. And I knew the restaurant that I wanted to go. I knew the food was great. The service was exceptional. The ambiance was second to none. So I picked her up, and nice conversation, nothing unusual, no red flags at the time. And then we got to the restaurant and we ordered. And then that's when the conversation immediately started going downhill. She began to All of the conversation was about the future, our future. She was saying that, she had asked my neighbors about me. I said, whoa, what are you talking about? And she said her and her girlfriend had gone around the neighborhood asking about me. And anyway, then she started talking about the fact that I need to stop seeing as many women as I have, because the neighbors told her that I date a lot. And she said, that's not a good environment to raise children. Okay. Conversation still sliding downhill fast. And I'm listening at this point. I'm not saying anything. I'm just listening. And she's talking about the first child is a girl. She already had a name picked out. It got scarier because then she started talking about my job. And she said, you work at such and such a place, and I know they pay well. And I said, what are you doing? What is this about my job? Why are you doing all this? You don't know me. We just met. She said, oh, I know you. I've known you for all my life. And then it became sci-fi time, where she was talking about stuff that we had possibly done together in a previous life. And then it got to the point where I said, let's finish our dinner like this and order some dessert and drink some coffee, and let's call it a night. And inside I was seething. It's like, really, very intrusive that she was doing all this. Anyway, so I took her back after the dinner. Dinner was good. I took her back with intentions of never seeing this woman again. And like I said before, aside from the attractiveness and the aura and the conversation flowed so smoothly, this was not for me. This was not for me. Took her, dropped her off where I left her, and I was done. She wasn't done. She would call constantly. I would not answer. Of course, it was always from a private number or an unlisted number, whatever. And then she started coming to the house because she knew where I lived, because she saw me getting into my car and she saw where I was coming from. And she lived in the neighborhood. I know not where, but she would come to the house, especially when I wasn't there, when she didn't see the car, and she would start talking to my relatives. The house we lived in was like a family compound. We had cousins and uncles and families moving in and out. It was a very large house and with ample, land. And then she would come and she would just talk about our relationship and whatever. And I still ignored her. And the messages that she left became more caustic, became more troubled. And then she started talking to the neighbors. Then she told them that she was pregnant and that I was avoiding my responsibility as a father. And then she started calling my job over and over again. And I work in a situation at that time where we could not receive, outside calls. We have clients, and that's where our attentions, needed to be at all times. And it's got ugly. She's went on for weeks and weeks and weeks. And my folks had a garden right on the side of the house, and she would come past and she would cut our flowers and she would wrap them up in tape and she would leave these notes like, my love, our child is on the way. You're going to be a good daddy, but you have to start now, and stuff like that. Keep in mind, I've only met this woman twice, and one of them was going to a club, and the second one was a dinner. That's it. And this went on for like months, and finally I had to take caustic measures, call, the police to find out what I could do. And they said, well, really, there's not too much you can do. She's calling you and everything. You could do, it gave me some options and neither one of them worked. None of them worked. She just persisted to call and be, listen, we've all had scary dates and hopefully it's that one date that we have to deal with. But in my case, as well as other people, if it doesn't feel right to you, there's a reason why. Talk to you soon.
Ty almost learned the hard way that an unresearched date can turn into a living nightmare.